Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to be going over what my good friend and 2023 Scrabble Players Champion Josh Sokol has recently dubbed the most Josh Sokol 12 minutes in the history of competitive Scrabble. Now, what exactly does Josh mean by that? We're going to see very soon, but to set the stage, this was the very first game of a recent 9-game tournament held at the home of the Goldsteins in Scarsdale, New York, which Josh played in and directed. Now, one Goldstein, Eric Goldstein, has made several appearances on my channel. Eric is a longtime expert who seems to have a knack for getting himself into crazy games and interesting situations over the board. However, today's video is going to feature Eric's son Noah, who's also an expert in his own right. And Josh was first in this game and found himself with an opening rack of B, D, E, E, L, N, R. And Josh, in a matter of just about a second or two, set down Blender for 74 points with the B on the star. Now, this right here is already a very Josh Sokol move. As we've seen in at least one of my other YouTube videos, Josh is known for opening with bingos stopping one before a triple word score when normally this isn't advisable, because if your opponent has an S, they're of course going to hook it onto that bingo and make a huge play on the bottom triple word score. However, Josh actually did not make this play. He set this down to mess with Noah a little bit, making Noah think that he was going to do it, and then he took it back and then actually played Reblend for 76 points. Now, interestingly, Reblend also is one square away from a triple word, but does Reblend take any front hooks? We'll see. Noah unfortunately had the Q, which is the last thing you want to see after your opponent, let alone a former North American champion, opens with a bingo. And Noah really has no good plays here. He has no way to get rid of his Q unless he exchanges, so he decides to score a little bit, playing Mead for 26, keeping the Q. I think this is a reasonable decision by Noah, as he doesn't want to fall too far behind. And now, Josh, holding EHLNOPT, should, according to the engine, play Phenol for 41 points, a nice play making Lap and Ed. However, Josh found something even better. He plays Holp, hooking the P onto Preblend for 66 points. Now, Preblend is actually not a word, but Josh definitely played Reblend with the intention of possibly putting the P hook down on a future turn, or maybe even baiting Noah into playing it himself, after which Josh would challenge it off the board. Needless to say, Josh went for this, and Noah did not challenge, so Josh gets 66 points, upping his lead to 142 to 26. Perhaps part of the reason Noah didn't challenge is because Josh's play of Hope gave Noah a very nice place for his X in return. Noah very quickly played Dox for 57 points, easily his best play, keeping the very nice leave of EQSU, which would hopefully yield him a big score on his next turn. And Josh draws well after his phony EEJLNT blank. Now, several of the viewers were actually expecting Josh to follow up his phony with a second consecutive phony of Jetlined to the D in Preblend for 98 points. However, Josh did not go with that here. He kept things a little bit tamer, at least by Josh's standards, playing Jet for 36 points, the best play recommended by the engine. And Noah here made a really nice play. He's got a couple of nice options under Dox, his highest scoring of which would be Queasy for 58 points. However, this gets rid of his S and also puts a Q between two triple word scores, which is pretty risky and could allow Josh to further pad his lead. So instead, Noah plays Quay for 44 points. Now you might be thinking, why would Noah do this when he can play Quay with the A, because normally it's better to keep an E on your rack than an A? Well, the beauty of Noah's play is that he makes a really nice F setup. On his next turn, he can put his F here to make Def and his A here to make Hoya, and possibly play a 3-letter word there for 40 points. So a really nice play here by Noah on this turn. Unfortunately for Noah, Josh drew very well once again, and slapped down Demaloon, his highest scoring bingo for 83 points, in the matter of just a couple of seconds. And Noah didn't draw particularly well, pulling the V and a few other consonants, but he is able to cash out on his very nice setup on his last play, making Fave for 42 points, his best move by a landslide. And Noah, to his credit, has been hanging in this game pretty well considering the circumstances. Josh has gotten 2 bingos down as well as a 66-point phony, and despite all that, Noah is still down under 100 points, so not a terrible effort. And Josh here, holding a bit of a clunky rack, makes what appears to be his best play of Was through the blank U for 28 points, keeping EGNRT, which is a little consonant heavy, but goes very well with the floating I and E of Demaloon for possible 8-letter bingos. Noah, thankfully for him, draws very well, pulling 3 vowels to his 4-consonant leave of LNST, and he finds his highest scoring bingo of Looniest for 77 points. However, there's only one problem. Luniest hooks an S onto pre-blend, and as we mentioned earlier, pre-blend is a phony, so pre-blends is also obviously a phony. So while this at first seems like it gets Noah to within 50 points, right back in the game, unfortunately, Josh immediately swats this off the board, and Noah loses a turn and remains down 120 points. So a huge blow for Noah here, and you gotta really feel for him. He's been honestly playing a very solid game here, trying to hang in here with Josh, and there's no worse feeling than putting an S on a phony and having that challenged off, because now you're just beating yourself up for the rest of the game for letting the phony go in the first place, and to add insult to injury, you lose a turn on top of that. So brutal turn of events here for Noah, but like I said, there's no one better than Josh at doing this. Another classic Josh Sokol trap, and Noah certainly not the first victim, and certainly will not be the last. To make matters worse for Noah, though, Josh has drawn very well after was pulling an O and an S, and he has several available bingos. His highest scoring one, which he saw, is Janitors for 86 points. However, the problem with this is Josh now knows Noah's rack, having challenged off the phony, and this is going to allow Noah to play Utensils through the S and Janitors. Josh could also play Estrogen for 80, but this also gives Noah back a bingo, Insulter to the R. So Josh here actually sacrifices a whopping 26 points playing Estrogen here for 60. Now, the most obvious reason is because this does not allow Noah a playable bingo. Remember, he of course can't play anything on the 9 row because of pre-blends, and there are no available 8s through the M or the I of Demaloon. The other thing about this play that's very sneaky and classic Josh is Estrogen actually does take a valid front hook, and it's an O for O Estrogen. Josh knows that Noah doesn't have an O because Noah exposed all 7 tiles on his last turn when he phonied. So Josh knows if he draws an O, then he's going to have a massive play hooking O Estrogen on the top right triple on his next turn. So the fact that Josh not only makes the only playable bingo that prevents Noah from bingoing himself, but makes this amazing setup for himself that he knows Noah can't use, just make this yet another example of a classic Josh Sokol brilliance. And the clip on Twitch of this game that Josh posted that I'm making this video off of actually ends after this play with Josh pulling an O out of the bag and putting it on his rack, of course indicating to the viewers that he's about to play something massive with O Estrogen on his next turn. I don't have the rest of this game, and that is going to be it for this video, guys. Like I said, this all took place in about 12 minutes. It was all live streamed on Twitch. I will post a link to that clip in the description of this video if you guys want to check it out. And in case you're wondering, this game ended with a 589 to 342 victory in favor of Josh. And like I said, this wasn't even really Noah's fault. Yes, he did not know that pre-blend wasn't a word, and it cost him dearly. But it happens, and other than that, Noah actually played a really good game. Quay was a brilliant play, setting up Fave on his next turn in particular. So shout out to both of these players. Really awesome game, great content, love to see it. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a comment or a like or subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Really helps grow the channel, would really appreciate it. Thanks again, have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.